Hey guys, welcome back to another video on the Inside Spurs show. Happy Thursday afternoon. I hope you are well, hope you're right. I hope the day has treated you as well as possible. In this video though, we are talking about the Ryan Mason Anderlecht move not happening now. And I think it's somewhat of a shame. We're talking about that. We're talking about some scathing comments on Timo Werner. And I'm also going to be talking about this Pedro Porro, Real Madrid connection / nonsense. So if you're watching this, you new, subscribe. You're very much welcome to join us for the journey. And apologies, there is no career mode today because I'm doing this video instead, which for some they like, for some they probably didn't like. But I'll be back tomorrow talking more nonsense and playing more FIFA and things like that. So let's talk about first and foremost the Mason situation. So Alistair Gold, amongst others, I'm not going to go through them all. They're all getting involved, saying that Mason is staying at Spurs as talks with Anderlecht actually fell through. They believe that the timing wasn't right for both club and the man. Well, I guess coach now to take over from Anderlecht. I believe the manager that they had on interim is going to be staying there permanently now. And to be honest, it's a shame in my opinion for a few different reasons. But the main one is just more for Mason. I thought this was going to be a really good move for him. It's not that I want him to leave, by the way. I didn't actually want him to leave in the first place, but I meant for his, I guess, progression. It would have been a really great move. I think the Belgian league is severely underrated. There's a lot of great talent there, but it's also the quality of football I think is super underrated. You know, it's probably how people viewed the Eredivisie not long ago. So I think that's how they kind of view it now. You know, so much incredible sort of player development happens there. Some really great youngsters play there. Some good teams in general play there. I mean, Anderlecht is obviously a very good team, but you've got the Bruges team that are very interesting. Obviously, we pay attention on this channel to Westerlo due to Vuskovic and Devine. So there's a lot of good quality teams out. And I haven't even been through. There is more teams, by the way. There are more. But anyway, yeah, just for Mason, obviously, it's a shame. But obviously for us, continuity, it's not a bad thing. He is a good coach. We've seen it through clips in training and things like that he is a very hands-on coach. And I think obviously Ange lets his coaches coach a bit more instead of the same repetitive voice over and over. I do think Mason really does help. I think Mason, obviously you've seen it, Mason, get your feet, whip it across goal. Attackers, get on there. You know, obviously our fans on Twitter who are actually managers themselves tell you that's a terrible idea, and Brendan Johnson's been awful for doing that. Donuts. But yeah, for us, obviously it's good for continuity. I don't mind it whatsoever. So, you know what? Shame for Mason, but he stays at Spurs. I mean, it's not a bad gig, is it? Let's be honest. Moving over to Pedro Porro and some of these comments. Now, I think people have taken it... do you know what? The beautiful thing is people get quotes and they get wound up by quotes instead of digesting how it's been delivered. That's the key thing. Obviously, via message, it's... You get a message, you go, well, that's a bit rude. But the other person's not meant that to be rude. It's just how you've taken it, right? It's like we had this discussion about Ange and some of his comments along there and people taking it in such a bad way. It's like, yeah, but that's how you've taken it. He's not delivered it like that, but that's how you've taken it. That's more of a you problem than a he problem. So they were talking about, how he's back in the national team. He's on Relevo, by the way. They're talking about how he's on in the national team. How he's feeling. All these sort of things. He talks about how he's improved the most. And they said defensively, I've put a lot more of emphasis there. I have had to defend a lot. The Premier League is a very one-on-one, and I've worked well on it. The coach we have worked especially on that. Thanks to that work, I have improved. By the way, apparently Ange does no coaching, so already from the player's mouth, you'd be wrong. So there was that first part. And then they sort of talk about the Carvajal situation. They talk about the Jesus Navas situation. Obviously, Carvajal, I believe, doing his ACL. I'm not 100% sure. But, him missing time. And obviously then Navas becoming, I guess you would say, is the understudy to Carvajal. They talk about the new manager. It's interesting. He said, for how young you are, you've moved a lot. Now you've established yourself in Tottenham, and you're leaving, which is odd. I don't know why I said that. Do you think you needed, above all, stability of several years in a club after so many comings and goings? He said, I was in Girona for a couple of years, and I quickly went to Valladolid for it to play another season until I leave for Portugal, where I've been for 2.5 years. Now at Tottenham, I've settled down, and that's good. It's always been one side or the other. It's a part of football, and you have to be prepared at all times for what's coming. Now I'm focused and comfortable. Well, there you go. Focused and comfortable. So if the amount of people thinking he's jumping at first opportunity, it's not a big deal. I also thought the question towards him wasn't a probing question. So it says, well, if you continue like this, I have the feeling that you'll continue to move even though you have a contract in London until 2028. What do you feel like? What do you feel when clubs like Real Madrid are interested in you? I don't think that's a crazy... I don't know, it's a crazy question. He said, it fills you with excitement, doesn't it? You have to be focused on your work, but well, that Real Madrid is interested in you is because you're doing things right. That's how I think about it today, about day to day. Well, if that moment has to come, it will come. If it doesn't make it, well, to continue working as before. I think people are looking at it like he's trying to leave. It's not that he's trying to leave. It's, it's just that the Real Madrid team has been interested in him. I also think people need to, no offence, get off their high horse a little bit about this. He's a Spanish player. Most Spanish players want to play for one of the big three. Is it Atletico or is it Real Madrid or is it Barca? That's who they want to play for. That's, it's not like a player like Harry Kane, right? Who, Spurs boy, been through the setup, had success of becoming a very, very good player, and then trying to get to Real Madrid. That you'd go, oh, that sucks a little bit. Pedro Porro is a Spanish national. Probably one of the teams that he's wanted to play for his whole life. He loves Spurs. There's nothing wrong with saying that he loves Spurs, but he also loves another team. That they're a professional. This is their job at the end of the day. And if a team's going to pay you double or triple, and Real Madrid are happily paying players a big wage. There's players that they've got on a free who they're paying 400 grand a week because they go, we've got them on a free. Who cares? Give them those big wages. In Spain, they give big wages. Is what they do. You look at Athletic Bilbao. I mean, Nico Williams. No one knew. I say no one knew about him, but not many people knew about him a year ago. To come and find out he's on 250 grand a week, everyone's like, that's really shocking. It's like, no, that's just how the Basque do it. For Porro, it's not shocking. I'm not upset by it. I'm not sitting there going, are you joking? That's so rude. It's not. It really isn't. He's literally said, look, if I have to move, I move. I do like Real Madrid, but I'm playing right now, so we worry about the now. That's basically what he said. God, I'm not really that bothered by it. I mean, maybe some people are. Maybe I'm just a little bit less wound up on certain topics, but it's like let's say Harry Kane played for Real Madrid, grown up for Real Madrid, and Spurs come knocking. He's always wanted to play for Spurs because that's his club, and they move. You're not going to begrudge him that. That's his club. I just wouldn't begrudge him that. I wouldn't. Is he going to leave this summer? No, he's not. He's going to have 3 years left on his deal. He's not going next summer. Hell, Real Madrid might not even want him next summer. I just don't cry about it. It's not that deep. It really isn't that deep. Right, let's move on to these comments on Timo Werner. They're somewhat scathing, and they're interesting because I'll show you what I mean. It's Kane's Craig Burley, who labelled Werner's end product atrocious, right? And I'm going to read out what he says because he's a bit of a moron. Because he said, and he says, and again, I don't want to sort of pick on him, but I'm going to. All right, well then just don't bother saying that. Just say, Timo, just go on to the next bit. You know what I mean? Timo Werner, whatever he did in Germany, he has been able to do in 2 spells in England. Okay, that happens for hundreds of players, thousands of players even, but okay. His end product was once again atrocious, and that adds to the pressure that goes on a team defensively when you're just not finishing teams off. Which, one, I agreed with that because I've always said if the attack was better, defensively, you'd be a mile better. So I'm not the only one. There are people that think that, which is nice because I seem to be the only one that thinks that, but hey-ho. He goes, it wasn't just Timo Werner, but if he starts the next game after the international break, I'll be very surprised. A young 70-year-old and more is probably going to come in his place. Brennan Johnson has come through a tough time when people were talking about his end product. He gets 6 goals and 6. And this is where my issue lies. By all means say, look, Timo's end product wasn't good enough. It needs to improve to help the team defensively. If not, Mikey Moore might take his playing minutes. Say it like that. But obviously, because people are on TV, they have to say things that are going to get clicks and likes and interactions because it's money at the end of the day, right? Because he goes on and talks about, Brendan Johnson, he's been through a tough time, but he's now 6 and 6. but Timo Werner supposedly can't do that. He supposedly can't, right? Because he's had 2 spells and he's failed. And I just find it interesting because pundits obviously, you know, they talk about how it's good for players to speak up about their mental health. It's very important for a player to speak up about his mental health. You know, we should back these players, you know, when they have these mental health issues. But he's rubbish. He's absolutely rubbish. He's this, that, and the other. It's like you can critique without just being rude, and that was just rude in my opinion. Don't bring in Brennan Johnson's situation. It's a different player, different situation. He wanted to go in there and talk about how Mikey Moore was so good, but in turn, half-arsed it and didn't. He could literally have said, Timo's, delivery and his end product wasn't good enough today. You know, we've seen it a few times. It's not been good enough. Mikey Moore's coming through. He's an exciting player. You know, I think he'll be taking Timo's spot, if I'm honest, because Mikey's shown X, Y, and Z. Just leave it as that. But instead he attacked, threw Brennan in there for no reason. This is what I mean about pundits. Don't listen to everything you listen to on TV and think they're right, because they're not. That includes some of the pundits that I actually quite like. I don't agree with everything they say. I love Keane though. I love Roy Keane. I think he's hilarious. And he does say a lot of good things. I don't agree with everything. Neville on comms, I quite like him, but I don't agree with everything. I couldn't even tell you who BT Sports is. I just don't care enough about BT Sport. I mean, they've had terrible punditry teams for a long time. Other than who's the guy that does the international football, and when they have a Champions League game, he comes on. I actually feel like I'm sitting there. I'm like, yeah, no, I'm learning from this guy instead of people shouting Ballon d'Or 12 times. But you know what I mean. So don't listen to everyone. His end product hasn't been good enough. We can still support him though. But I think Mikey will be taking his minutes. I will agree with that bit. But we shall see. But anyway guys, in the video, I hope you enjoyed. Drop a like on the video if you did. Hit me in the comment section below. Your thoughts, feelings about the Pedro Porro debacle that Twitter seemed to implode on. Give me your thoughts, feelings about that. Obviously, your thoughts and feelings surrounding the Timo Werner side of things. And obviously, on top of that, your thoughts, feelings about Mason staying. Good news, bad news, however you feel. Obviously, subscribe to the channel if you're new. Hit the bell notification for more. But anyway guys, in the video, I'll see you all very, very soon. Take care, guys.